Okay, so first of all, we'll start off with data analysis. So this topic is super relevant for year 12. And it's going to be the very first topic that you'll cover in year 12. So super duper important. So you would have looked at a bit of data in unit 1, but that was mostly univariate data. So now we'll be moving on to bivariate data. So univariate data just looked at one variable, whereas bivariate data now looks at, two variables. So looking at the relationship between two separate variables and basically how they link to each other, and also how we can explain one variable or the behavior of one variable based on the other variable. Now, because we're looking at the relationship between two variables, we have something called an explanatory variable and a response variable. So one of the variables will be explanatory and the other one will be the response variable. So the names of these variables sort of suggests what they do in terms of their role in the relationship. So the explanatory variable, which is also known as the independent variable or the predictor. However, in general maths, we just call it the explanatory variable. But if you do science or any sort of other mathematical subjects, it is also called independent variable as well. And these are variables that are manipulated or characterized to observe the effect on the response variable. So basically what that means is if the explanatory variable changes, then there would be a direct effect on the response variable. And thereby the response variable, which is also known as the dependent variable, or the outcomes, are the variables that are affected or measured in response to the changes in the explanatory variable. And based on early knowledge you might have of maths, the explanatory variable, which is the independent variable, is always plotted on the horizontal or the x-axis, as you can see from this diagram over here. I'll just mark it for you. Okay, and then the response variable is always plotted on the vertical axis or the y-axis. So when we look at scatter plots, which I believe you should have looked at before as well in unit 1, but if you haven't, that's all good. We'll be looking at how these two variables interplay with each other.